You have the ability to do absolutely nothing for extremely long periods of time. What is a way you can make money out of it? Sleep studies. What? I did a sleep study yesterday and I had to pay for it. I got scammed. I mean, I assume they gave you the results and analysis from it. I did one and all they did was take the data and pay me. There was a guy in my small town that just started protesting a shitty car RV dealership that ripped him off. He is a local legend. He just stood on the street corner with a sign day in and day out, warning people not to do business there. He was polite, he didn't yell or block anything. He just stood on a curb with a sign that vaguely claimed that the car dealership was scummy. Staying away from specifics is apparently helpful to avoid accusations of libel. Later, he added a counter for how many days he had been protesting. He wore nice clothes and his hair was combed and face clean shaven. He wore glasses. He had a cooler with drinks and food and would sometimes sit on it, eat a sandwich and watch the traffic go by. His sign was well written. His pants were ironed. He looked like an ordinary, respectable, good person who just had been ripped off and decided to fight it on principle, something everyone could relate to. Salesmen at the dealership would go harass him. They called the cops, but he was within his rights. Then one day a new salesman tried to push him around. Apparently some customers walked away from a sale and this guy thought it was because of the one-man protest. He probably was right. I know that I would rethink buying a car if I noticed a dude with a sign outside that indicated he had been ripped off so badly that he decided to protest about it every day, all day long, for months. Then the salesman slapped him, knocked him to the ground, threw his sign in the street and kicked him, and it was all caught on video from multiple angles because the protester had cameras running. The protester sued. They settled. I think it was around $250,000. Then he went right back to protesting, only now across the street for some reason. That dealership is out of business now, not so much due to him, but the 2008 recession. So, you could go do that, I guess. That is the craziest story and suggestion, I think. Wow. Livestream myself sleeping and try to get the viewers to wake me up through donation videos. Do this and have an alarm go off really, really loud for every 1,000 euros or whatever your currency is. I bet donations will tumble in fast, just so they can watch you wake up scared. The catch is, 10 euros is the maximum anyone can donate at a time. So they'll either have to keep feeding money to your live stream or they'll have to sit and wait till someone else donates. In either case, you earn money. Living statue. I mean, I see living statues all the time, so it means it must be a good way to make lots of money, right? Yeah, and even if it's doing nothing, I bet it's tiresome. Standing still in one position for a long period of time is tougher than it seems, getting ridiculed by shitty people, etc. Yes, I know exactly the kind of people who would do that. So annoying. Write a book called How to Do Nothing and Get Paid for It, just like every other do-nothing schemer out there, and charge $59.93 for it. They don't want you to know this one simple fact about the new economy, but I'll tell you for only 3 easy payments of $19.99. Try my system today. Wouldn't it be $59.97, or they get a 4-cent discount for paying up front? Yes, because studies have shown that people round down mentally at 7. At least that's what they explained in my 3-day marketing guru bootcamp. Oh, okay. Win money in one of those askreddit threads that appears once a week where you get paid $4 million for staying a month in a room with no human contact and no entertainment. I can actually do this if there was $4 million involved. I don't know if you could. That's like a month in severe solitary confinement where you can't even hear the guards' footsteps as they pass you food. That shit is serious. I don't know the specifics, but humans are surprisingly fragile when it comes to stuff like this. We can't live purely in the dark, we can't live purely in the light, and we can't live alone. Even if you don't suffer a massive breakdown, just understand that your main threat isn't boredom, it's severe mental anguish. You're definitely going to be hallucinating in a few weeks. That is pretty terrifying. Compound interest. I too enjoy accumulating more debt. Legit, lol. Thanks. Oof. This hit close to home. Be an art class model. Super easy to do, very realistic, unlike some other answers here, and honestly really underrated. Everybody's saying that it's not easy to do, and I get that. I meant with this particular superpower, it would be super easy to do. Do they need unattractive people? I mean, there's a lot of detail to be had on this body. Short answer is yes. It's less about looking good and more about being able to stand still for extended periods while naked. It's better for artists to have different body types for practice and development of skills. Astronaut study of staying in a room for 30, 60, 90 days. How can I apply? They could just rig a camera up to my tiny studio flat and save themselves a lot of effort. I'd open a business for birds that need someone else to sit on their eggs. Easy money. You better know a lot about bird law. Don't want to end up responsible if the parents don't return. Yeah, you don't want to end up being a jailbird. Be a guard. I never understood how a single guy spending every night sitting in the only lit room of an empty building is a reasonable measure to protect that building. Sure, a casual intruder might be scared off and look for an easier job, but the really dedicated burglar who has his reasons to break into this particular building will figure out a way to trick the guard or even knock him out. Thus, the guard can only be a first responder to an alarm from an intrusion detection system, but that job probably doesn't pay well enough to actually bother confronting burglars who may or may not be armed. Very good point. Medical trials. I highly recommend nobody doing this. I know people who are disabled for their whole life because of alpha medication. Very interesting. I've always heard it was extremely rare to get injured in medical trials, but that never made any sense to me because after all, how can they know how harmless or harmful a new RX is if it's never been tested in a human before? Accept all those Reddit challenges. Would you take X dollars for staying in a room with only a bed for 1 month? Sounds a lot like quarantine with no phone. You guys are getting paid? You guys are getting? Performance art piece for MoMA or something and get a cut of the exhibition fee. David Blaine. I act as the temporary support for super heavy stuff. If it's absolutely nothing, then that includes doing something like being crushed to death. I just turn it off when they don't need me to hold the heavy thing anymore. Or maybe I act as an emergency roadblock. I jump out of a vehicle in front of whoever I'm supposed to stop and I activate my ability and I do absolutely nothing, including being thrown 100 feet by the speeding vehicle about to hit me. And if I don't move at all, well, who are you, who are so wise in the ways of science? I'm nobody, just a dude who has too much alone time to ponder about hypotheticals. Also, happy Cake Day.